Dr Sarah Blakeney stood beside the bath and wondered how death could ever be described as a victory. There was no triumph here, no lingering sense that Mathilda had abandoned her earthly shell for something better, no hint even that she had found peace. The dead, unlike the sleeping, offered no hope of a reawakening. "You want my honest opinion," she said slowly, in answer to the policeman's question. "Then, no. Mathilda Gillespie is the last person I'd have expected to kill herself." They stared at the grotesque figure, stiff and cold in the brackish water. Nettles and Michaelmas daisies sprouted from the awful contraption that caged the bloodless face, its rusted metal bit clamping the dead tongue still in the gaping mouth. A scattering of petals, curling and decayed, clung to the scraggy shoulders and the sides of the bath, while a brown sludge below the water's surface suggested more petals, waterlogged and sunk. On the floor lay a bloodied Stanley knife, apparently dropped by the nerveless fingers that dangled above it. It was reminiscent of Marat in his bath, but so much uglier and so much sadder. Poor Mathilda, thought Sarah, how she would have hated this. The police sergeant gestured at the pitiful grey head. "What in God's name is that thing?" His voice grated with repugnance. Sarah waited a moment until she felt her own voice was under control. "It's a Scold's bridle," she told him. "A primitive instrument of repression. They were used in the Middle Ages to curb the tongues of nagging women. It's been in Mathilda's family for years. I know it looks awful like that, but she kept it downstairs in the hall over a pot of geraniums. As a decoration, it was rather effective." She raised a hand to her mouth in distress, and the policeman patted her shoulder awkwardly. "They were white geraniums, and they poked their heads through the iron framework. Her coronet weeds, she always called them." She cleared her throat. "She was rather fine, you know, very proud, very snobbish, very intolerant and not overly friendly, but she had a brilliant mind for someone who had never been trained to do anything more than keep house, and she had a wonderful sense of humour, dry and incisive." "Coronet weeds," echoed the pathologist thoughtfully, "as in, there with fantastic garlands did she come, of crowflowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples, that liberal shepherds give a grosser name, but our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There, on the pendant boughs, her coronet weeds." Hamlet, he explained apologetically to the policeman. "Ophelia's End. I had to learn it for O-level. Amazing what you remember as you get older." He stared at the bath. "Did Mrs. Gillespie know Hamlet?" Sarah nodded unhappily. "She told me once that her entire education was based on learning chunks of Shakespeare by heart." "Well, we're not going to learn much by standing staring at the poor woman," said the policeman abruptly, "unless Ophelia was murdered." Dr. Cameron shook his head. "Death by drowning," he said thoughtfully, "while of unsound mind." He glanced at Sarah. "Was Mrs. Gillespie depressed at all?" "If she was, she never gave any indication of it."